Well, welcome to Regarding Men, where we hold men in high regard. And I'm Tom Golden, and I'm here with what, Paul?
Nothing. I just
Give
said
me.
pointing up high because we hope
Should we start again?
No,
no.
no, it's fine.
Okay. Anyway,
I stand by my finger pointing.
indeed. At least it wasn't the middle finger. Anyway, this is Regarding Men. I'm here. I'm Tom Golden, here with Paul Elam and Janice Fiamengo, two of my most favorite men's advocates. And today we're going to talk about a couple of things. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the sad news that Johnny Depp's court case got nixed. And let's see if we can find Johnny here. There he is. So what do you guys think of this? Janice shakes her head.
Disgusting.
It's
Disgusting.
it's horrible. It's just it's almost unbelievable, and I don't think we're going to go into this in detail. I haven't read the actual judgment. I just read some articles about the judgment quoting it, so I'm not claiming that I know everything there is to say about it. But it's on the one hand not really that surprising, I guess, and on the other hand, just shocking that all of the evidence that Depp brought forward, that he was actually the one being abused, not the abuser, was simply dismissed by the judge, who accepted all sorts of unsubstantiated claims by Amber Heard and said that that's fine. That's all that's necessary is for her to keep on claiming that her story is true. But even though there's all this evidence to the contrary, it's
Crazy.
I thought that, it's really quite amazing. And it may have something to do with British libel law, that it may be somewhat different than in the United States. But
It's easier in the UK to sue for libel by far than it is in the United States. There's so many points of law in the United States. I mean, I've had people ask me for years over some of the hit pieces written about me and about Laura Bates' book and other things. Why am I not suing for libel? But in the United States, you have to prove that they lied. You have to prove that they knowingly lied. You have to prove that they knowingly lied with malice against you. And you have to prove financial loss and damage from the libel. If you don't meet all those points of law in the United States, you don't have a case. It's why I was so pleased when what was the young man's name from Kentucky, Sandman, who forced a settlement with them. But in the UK, it's much easier. But we're just seeing another example here, how the entirety of Western society enables and supports false accusations.
Yes.
And
the most bizarre thing is you look in the media and they're all applauding. Yay, this is a step forward for victims. I look at that and think, are you kidding me? He's the victim. He's being ignored. This is not a step forward. This is a huge step backwards. Crazy.
Some expert even said, "Oh, the terrible thing for victims," meaning women victims.
Right.
They're not believed.
Right.
And here now we have Amber Heard being believed, and we also have her recorded saying that nobody would believe Johnny Depp if he told them that she was the one abusing him. So indeed,
she was right.
She was right. That's
right.
Exactly
it
right.
is the case that victims are not believed when they are male. It's amazing.
That sums it up.
What is really amazing about this is all the people that look at this case, even in our own community, will say, gynocentrism? What gynocentrism?
Yeah.
Oh, God. What a mess. Should we move on?
No.
Because we're moving on to something.
Johnny Depp.
We're moving on to something a little different. Yes, indeed. Mail Online has, let me read the headline. "We have to erase men. Lesbian author who urges women to eradicate men from their lives racks up 5-star reviews on Amazon, but some argue it's a form of apartheid." Oh my goodness. Well, this lesbian author they're talking about is Alice Coffin. And you can forgive me for not using any nail in the jokes. But yes, what a name indeed. And she's a character. She's a real character. She's created a lot of trouble. In fact, in some ways, I like her because she's pissing off a lot of feminists. You know, because she's talking about eradicating men, erasing men, and all of the feminists in France are going, no, 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 shh, shh, shh. Don't say anything like that we believe. You know, please, let's keep this under wraps. But Alice doesn't keep it under wraps. And Alice just did get a council seat in Paris. And she and the Paris mayor are at odds. In fact, Alice is at odds with a lot of the feminists. But Alice does a lot of silly things. One of which is that she goes to these protests, and she has her people wear beards. Okay, you can see them there. These are feminists protesting in an all-male meeting because Alice is really after the men, particularly men who are in power, who also have sex with young girls or young boys. How about that? So she got this one guy kicked out because of his associations with a pedophile or something like that. And Alice calls the legislature there, she calls it pedoland, which pisses people off even more. But Alice is an interesting bird. You know, and let's have a look at Alice here. Let's see if we can show you a picture of her. There she is.
God, let's
And
don't.
you know, it was really interesting. Most of the things that I read had to be translated from French to English. And when they were translated from French to English, they would call her both he and she. Sometimes they would say he, sometimes they would say she. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Anyway, many of the people online who see her picture say she bears a strong resemblance to a character in the movie Deep Space Nine named Odo. A liquid character, I think. And here's a shot of Odo. And here's another shot of, of Alice. Yeah, and there's Odo. Alice, you be the judge. You be the judge about whether they are similar or not. But who knows?
Well, I can tell you, I'd rather sleep with Odo.
Well, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Paul.
I wonder about this, though. I mean, it's one of the things I've always wondered about the lesbian feminist sect
Yeah.
is that there's this, she's on this campaign, erase men, get rid of men. Her and her partner they only consume entertainment media that is produced by women. They don't want anything. Of course, they do it on platforms that men designed and built, which
Exactly.
they couldn't enjoy that stuff without the work of men. But she won't let that bit of hypocrisy, stop her from enjoying a good lesbian-made movie. But what I find so interesting about this lesbian sect is that when you look at the picture of her, everything about her emulates masculinity in terms of the physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
It is like just look. I mean, everything about her is trying to be more masculine,
That's
trying to be more like a man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And what lesbians, feminists have always done in my book is that they embrace the worst characteristics of some men, the arrogance, the control freaks, the punitive nature, the punishing, the abusive part of their personality. They embrace that as masculinity and then walk around saying, I'm going to clean the world of this by disengaging with men. It makes absolutely no sense at all.
That's a great point.
This is a woman that I think is looking around at the political establishment, pedoland in Paris, and I think she wants to destroy it because she's not part of it.
Huh. Well, that could be. And I tried to find Alice's history. You know, she has a lot of connections with her mom. Her and her mom do protest sometimes, and her grandmother had a good relationship with Alice. Nothing about the grandfather or the father. I couldn't find a thing. How about that? Anyway, Alice wrote this book, The Lesbian Genius or Genius Lesbian or something like that. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. And we're going to go through this article bit by bit and give you a sense of what they're talking about. Does that sound like a good idea, guys, to go through it now?
Yeah, let's take a look at some of her clips.
All right, let's see if we can change things a little bit here. and go to the first clip. And there it is. A lesbian activist has urged women to eliminate men from their minds and lives in a controversial new book that claims to provide the ultimate solution to female emancipation. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or
So yeah,
more.
so there's what Paul said. She doesn't listen to music, read books, or watch films made by men. And her partner Yuri also only consumes things that have been produced by women. Well, I think first of all, we'd have to call BS on that. Good
Quickly.
luck finding. Do they eat food?
Because
Because I think it's pretty hard to find any food that wasn't grown, produced, transported by men, made possible by all of the structures and the supply chains that men created and maintained. So, nobody cares. I don't think there's a single man around, who minds if these lesbians want to live a life that they imagine is somehow free of men. Because contrary to what feminists have been telling us for the last 50 years, the male ego does not demand constant adoration from every woman alive. That is simply not true. I'm sure the vast, vast majority of men reading this would just laugh and say, fine, that's, go girl, do your best.
Really?
But, it's what this woman symbolizes, and the false claim that there is something new about this, something bold about this, something genuine about this. This is not about emancipation. When this woman moves house, does she use an all-female, moving company? It's just,
Really?
does she eat at restaurants that are entirely run by women? Good luck finding a plumber, an electrician, a stonemason. It's such nonsense. To imagine that she is actually living a life that is somehow independent of male genius, male labor, and male competence. And it just sort of enrages me that she can make the claim to applause that she is doing that.
Yes.
Sorry,
No one says a word.
I wanted to say that, I found this segment kind of inspirational. And I thought, something, I could do that. I could only consume food and products and housing and shelter and automobiles and stuff that was only produced by men. But I thought, what? No, I'm already doing that.
Oh, God. We go ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's go on.
Yeah. Who wants to read it?
I will.
Oh, go ahead.
Reflecting on feminism and lesbianism in the years since French feminist Simone de Beauvoir penned The Second Sex, which I think was in 1949. So we've had an awful lot of decades of this. She claimed that the only way for women to be truly emancipated is to eradicate men from their lives completely. As we said, that's all. We've already said that's nonsense. It's not enough to help one another. We have to erase them from our minds, from our pictures, from our representation. I don't read books by men anymore. I don't watch their movies. I don't listen to their music, she writes. Well, she's cutting herself off from an awful lot of beauty, an awful lot of opportunities for joy and interest and intellectual nourishment and good energy. If she wants to do that, fine. Why would you want to cut yourself off from 80 to 90% of the world's greatest art, literature, and music?
Maybe you do that if you're really not sophisticated enough intellectually to appreciate that stuff to begin with. That could have something to do with it. By the way, for those who don't know, and I will get a link so that we can get it into the description area. Simone de Beauvoir, or however you say her name, also Nazi affiliation there with her, and pedophile. Both. And we have a great article on A Voice for Men about that fact that's well researched. we'll throw it into the mix just in case anybody wants to know who her idols really are.
Yeah, interesting. What strikes me here is that it's just like, how pathological do you have to be to want to completely ignore and erase half the human race? It's like, no, there's something wrong with that pathologically. I mean, there's just something wrong with that.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, gone are the days of let's get along, let's live together. She's gonna just cut them all out, erase them. Oh boy, how about the next
Well,
one?
I have a question, Tom,
What's
about
that?
that very thing.
What?
And I'm not asserting this, that I'm saying this. I'm genuinely asking the question. When you look at what I would consider to be a minority contingent of the MGTOW community who simply says, we're not having anything to do with women at all, is this the counterpart?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so. I don't think so at all. I think the MGTOW are saying in relationships, we're staying away. We're not going to get into a relationship with a woman, you know? But I don't think these guys would not listen to
There's
Diana
some
Krall
guys
or
that
Bonnie
swear
Raitt.
off No, there's some guys in the MGTOW community that swear off any contact whatsoever.
Even music,
social-
movies,
I don't
music.
know. I've never heard music.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I see the MGTOW movement as saying, this is toxic for us to move into this relationship with women. I'm
not
that
talking
crap.
about the movement. I'm
This is-
talking about the small section
Yeah,
of
you know more
what you
about
would
them than
call
I do.
MGTOW movement.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
more about them than I do. So
And I still don't. I think you make a good point. They're still not crazy enough to say I'm never going to listen to any music if a woman is playing guitar in it.
Really?
Exactly. No, I don't
Really?
think so. Yeah, I mean, this is pure toxic ideology.
Yes.
I don't see MGTOW as really an ideology in that sense. It's practice based, and it's based on experience. These are men who, through observing the world and through their own experiences of interactions with women, have decided that they want to protect themselves from
Yes.
the world of heartache that can
Yes.
come their way from a false allegation or whatever it happens to be. That's not what she's talking about at all. I mean, this is just
I agree.
really
Her biggest
hatred.
risk, her biggest risk in getting exposed to men is that one of them might change a tire for her.
Yeah, and she's imagining that she can somehow live separate from that and condemn men for everything that they've ever produced and make some kind of political statement by not listening to Beethoven. I mean, it's just it's crazy.
I'll show those men.
That's right. Okay, we ready for the next one?
Mhm.
Sure.
All right, let's see what we got next. Paul, you want to do it?
Alice admits she imagined herself as a boy when she was younger. Well, but now believes being a lesbian is a greater achievement. Hold it. Your sexuality is an achievement? Is there like lesbian school out there that you go to maybe apply for scholarship? Maybe she got there on a full ride and she achieved being a lesbian.
Maggot come loudly.
Yeah, really. The author, who says she's aware that generalizing may annoy people, claims men are a permanent war on women. Oh my God, the threat narrative. And her book is a response to the favor men continue to receive.
Yeah.
Okay,
How about that?
so we are defined as a war on women. I would assume, especially those who magnificently achieved lesbianism. Her book is a response to the favor men we continue to receive.
That's supposedly, I guess that's the translation of the French version of male privilege.
Yes.
Yes. Men have it all. They have a war on women, and we can succeed magnificently if we become lesbians and don't deal with them.
No,
Yeah,
you can't just become a lesbian, Tom. You have to earn it. It's
It's an achievement.
something.
Yeah.
Yes, it's an achievement.
It's bizarre. I mean,
Crazy.
lest it be thought that we're anti-lesbian here. We are not. And in fact, my experience, my limited experience, just based on women I've known, is that actually most lesbians are not really at all into this kind of anti-male mania. I think there is a very narrow, very specifically defined category of feminists who are lesbian feminists. They're political lesbians. You know, they have made a political, ideological choice to become lesbians, and that is a choice based on hatred of men. Most lesbians are really, actually, I would say generally maybe even more empathetic towards men, because in some ways more in touch perhaps with the masculine side of themselves, having grown up with male friends, you know, having tomboyed around and been interested in the kinds of things that young guys were interested in, and, you know, really not into the feminist attack on men generally. But anyway, this woman clearly has, you know, her lesbianism is based on anti-male animus, and
Yes.
it's sad, because anybody who even just looks up on the internet for articles on lesbian partner abuse, the incidents of lesbian battering, you know, all that kind of thing, it's very, I'll send along just one of the links that I found, which, you know, makes it clear that lesbian partner abuse is at least as prevalent as any other form of domestic abuse.
It's more.
Yeah, even higher. According to
yes.
many studies, over 50% of lesbians surveyed in one survey that I was looking at reported sexual abuse in their relationships. I mean, that's incredible. Over 50%. And in another study I was looking at, 35 to 40% reported psychological and physical abuse. So what kind of an achievement is she talking about? So not only is her, you know, entire trip about living without men, you know, literally false, but this idea that lesbians have a different way of relating to one another, are not violent, are not abusive, are not controlling, it was completely wrong.
Yeah.
Janice, am I mistaken? Wasn't it also in part of the second wave back in the 70s and late 60s promoted as a political option? I mean, it was, they were very wide open about that, were they
definitely
not?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, there was a strand of feminism that claimed that any, you know, heterosexual woman who did not convert to lesbianism was betraying the sisterhood and was, you know, sleeping with the enemy, all of that. Yeah, that's been a dominant strain in feminism, you know, since the 1970s, certainly. And that's what's so old about this too. You know, the French feminists have always gone in a big way with these kind of mystical, quasi-spiritual ideas about female superiority. There are all sorts of French feminists like Luce Irigaray, who was a French philosopher, feminist philosopher, and Hélène Cixous, and in particular Monique Wittig, who is a famous lesbian feminist author and philosopher. And so she's just, you know, this is old hat. She's just mimicking a decades-long tradition of angry feminists who've got a lot of applause for I've got a cat hair up my nose, sorry, got a lot of applause for making outrageous claims against men and for female moral superiority. Big deal.
Damn those cat hairs. Yeah. You know, I see the same thing you're talking about, Janice. This is just Robin Morgan regurgitated 30 years later. There's nothing new in any of this. Feminists have been saying a woman needs a man like a bicycle needs a fish for 40 years now. And why the media picked up on this, I went, and I don't remember exactly how many reviews she had. It was less than my books. She hasn't exactly really, I think the news story over amplifies any impact that she's having right now. This is just another pissed off lesbian feminist. Nothing new. Um, so maybe we shouldn't have even done this segment.
Let's move
Well,
along.
except that it is a symbol, I think. It's like I don't even dislike this woman in particular or anything.
Right,
I feel
right.
kind of sorry for her in a way.
Yes,
Living
yes.
a life based on hatred where you're not going to watch an incredibly interesting movie because men were involved in making it. I mean, how many movies are there out there that had that had women running the cameras and doing the special effects and doing the film editing? And I mean, really, so she doesn't watch any movies at all? I mean, it's just nonsense. But it's the fact that, like, this is a cultural symbol, this inane and fundamentally false celebration of female independence. It doesn't exist in the world, and yet we keep insisting that it does, and that it's somehow bold and glorious for women to deceive themselves into thinking that they can be independent of men. It's it's I don't know, I find it a really interesting phenomenon. And I guess the thing that's most interesting is that for somebody who declares that the route to emancipation is to just cleanse your whole life, your consciousness, everything about the way you live, of men, she spent the last year and a half talking about men obsessively, how bad they are. And as you said, Paul, trying to make herself look like a man.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
this woman is entirely focused on maleness and masculinity while imagining that somehow she's liberating herself from it. It's bizarre.
And I got news for Alice Coffin. She
Oh,
won't be free of men until she's in one.
in one?
A coffin.
Oh,
Yeah, well, that's it.
Sorry.
made by a man, probably.
Made by a yeah.
And I think, that's what is really the issue fundamentally, is that there is an awful lot of envy that is
Yes.
propelling all these expressions of desire and of desire for women, but desire for emancipation, and refusal to admit how dependent her society is on male genius, male labor, male dedication, male working together, etc., to build and maintain an incredibly complex and secure society. And she knows that. She must know it, and it must eat her up.
Yeah, she must be seeking emancipation because she's got to take the man out of it, right?
Right.
Not emancipation, emancipation. Oh well. How about the
And
next one?
look, folks,
We're
it's
getting
easy
bad.
enough
On
to
that
see
note,
that one look at her picture, you can pretty much guarantee she'll do okay at getting rid of men.
speaking about the male role models and those currently in leadership, Alice writes, "There's only men like Macron at the head of our political, economic, and cultural institutions and in the media. Some worse than others. Let them go. They sow misfortune. We want joy. Being a lesbian is a party. They won't spoil it."
Well, not a lot of joy in anything that she's talking about, and I wish her joy.
Yes,
That's
yes.
that's amazing. This notion that somehow she is prevented from having joy because there are men in the political system in France. I wasn't sure. I looked up the political distribution of men and women, and found that French women make up 38%
Huh,
of the French parliament. They
huh.
have 223 of 577
How about that?
elected positions. So what's she talking about?
She
There,
wants it all.
yeah, I guess she wants men to be entirely eliminated from politics,
Just do the
because
janitor
there are
work.
an awful lot of women who are there in the French Parliament. And I guess so far they haven't managed to clean it up to her satisfaction. But there it is. And it is a bit frightening, of course, to think that this woman is now a city councilor with an
Yes.
attitude like
Yes.
that.
Yes. And those
Wow.
men sow misfortune. So if there's misfortune, then it must be because of a man.
Of course.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, this is a very crude and reductive, but
boy.
not inaccurate version of what feminism always seems to boil down to.
Yes. Yes. She's boiling it down very well, isn't she?
And I'm curious too, if being lesbian was a party in and of itself,
Uh-oh.
if that was what made a party, why would you, if you're at a party in life, if your life is a party, why are you trying to do anything other than enjoy the party?
Really?
I just don't get it. If my life was a party as a man, I would not be here. I would be doing something else that was fun.
And you wouldn't be worried about something else. You'd just be having the
Exactly.
party. And that's a great
Exactly.
point. You know, if she's really having a party, then why don't you just go party and leave everybody else alone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She can't do that.
No.
She can't do that. Those men, they sow misfortune.
Mm-hmm.
We ready for the next one?
Yep.
Sure.
All right, let's see what we got here. Oh my, who's going to do that
Uh-oh.
one?
Hinting at the reason why she doesn't watch films made by men, Alice argues the media objectifies women. Here we go again. Following into a well-oiled mechanism created by the Catholic state, the movie industry turned women into objects to massacre while still putting them on the highest of pedestal.
Ooh.
Be beautiful and shut up. Be beautiful and I rape you. Be beautiful, you're going to die. This is the movie industry, she says. Alice argues men erect monuments to celebrate their heroes. Meanwhile, women are abused for centuries and their history is lost without a trace. Well, every single statement there is simply wrong. I mean, it's not true. History is filled with women who are celebrated as saints, as warriors, as the cause of wars, the cause of ending wars, as important, political and creator figures. I mean, it's just nonsense. And her perspective is so limited and so warped because of this obsessive, malignant focus on male violence. She needs help. I mean,
Yes.
I just can't get over the fact that we are in such a politically correct society now that in my province, for instance, the University of British Columbia, a man named Michael Korenberg, who was on the board of governors of the university a couple months ago, was forced to step down from his position. And the position really has nothing to do with the teaching that goes on at the university. It just has to do with making sure that the budget is being properly implemented and that kind of thing. He was forced to step down because he had liked certain conservative tweets, specifically tweets critical of Black Lives Matter. That was considered the height of bigotry, even though he then apologized for liking those tweets and declared that he had only liked them because he wanted to keep track of them, which is true, apparently. I didn't know this, but a lot of people do that. If they want to keep a tweet, they will like it, and then that way they can find it again, because otherwise you see something and then you can never find it again on Twitter. So that was the height. That was the height of his racial transgression, the indication that everybody, including professors and certainly activist students at the university, used to claim that this was a racist bigot who was too dangerous to hold a position as chair of the board of governors at UBC, and he was forced to step down in disgrace. And yet this woman who declares that she hates all men and thinks women should purge them from their lives and from their consciousnesses and lies about them, and has the most outrageously warped view of the entire history of her culture that you can imagine. She was elected to a position on the Parisian city council. I don't know what to say about that. It's just
Alice in Wonderland. It's an upside
There's a
down world.
lesson in the matter of the tweets, though, and it'd be nice if people ever start listening to it. Guys, when cancel culture comes from you, never apologize.
that's for sure.
That is a suicide shot to the head.
Yep.
Don't apologize.
Yeah.
This guy might have survived if he didn't. But okay, looks like he was on the wrong side of the fence anyway. So good riddance.
Yeah.
Good riddance. We ready for the last one?
Yeah.
We're ready.
All right, let's do. There's the last one. I never say that men have everything to win with feminism. It's false. They have everything to lose. Their privilege, their monopoly, their power, she adds. Arguing women are blasted for speaking out, she says, when we feminists put together lists, produce data, are outraged, they have the nerve to ask, but you don't think, you just hate men. But you don't think, you just hate men.
That's not a question, by the way. That's a statement.
Thank you.
Just
You
a
don't hate,
statement.
you just hate men. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
they
again-
do have the nerve to say that because it's true.
Yes, exactly,
You know
Janice.
something, and you do hate men.
Oh,
And
God,
her
it's so
hating
true.
men is blazing through every page of everything she writes. Her hatred of men is there. So yeah, duh.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean,
Crazy,
I just
crazy.
don't understand why. I mean, I just think it is a very interesting cultural phenomenon that some women, some significant portion of women, and indeed some men, continue to find this interesting. Continue to claim that there is something worth thinking about, provocative, enlightening in some way in these crude, hateful, bigoted ideas. It's I mean, it truly is the case that hatred of men, particularly, of course, white men. Does she hate all men? Does she hate, poor black men? Does she hate the Algerian immigrants who have come to Paris for a better life? I'd love her to come forward on that and make declarations about her hatred of those men. But she mainly sticks, of course, to politicians like Macron, whom it is perfectly fashionable to hate, and the men in power, the men
Yes,
who
those
built France.
Pedoland, yes.
Yeah, that's her thing, and this is the hatred that dares to not only speak its name, but vaunt from the rooftops and write books and make political careers on the basis of, and for that she is applauded, and that tells us all we need to know about whom it is appropriate and very easy to hate, and well, the opposite of everything she said is clearly true. Men are not privileged. They don't receive favor. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to. I mean, this is some patriarchy, isn't it? Again, we've said that so many times. If this was really a patriarchy, with men had all the power and men oppress women, she wouldn't be able to make these claims and get away with them and live her comfortable, secure life, and indeed be elected to the Paris City Council in her own person.
Duh.
She disproves every single thing that
So
she
true.
claims.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you just go off with your girlfriend and enjoy life?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
That's
go
what
to
you
the-
see. You claim you're doing that, even as you prove over and over again that you're not doing that.
Yeah.
But that would seem to be the thing to do.
Yeah, and go to the council and say what you think is right and stick up for what you believe, and that's fine too.
Enjoy all those symphonies written by women.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Hildegard of Bingen, maybe. She didn't write
Yeah.
symphonies though.
No, but yeah, plain song. I think it's very nice, but just a diet exclusively of Hildegard of Bingen might get
A little old. A little
Yeah,
old.
nice.
Are we there?
Anyway, well, we wish her all the best, Alice. I'm sure that, very few men will bother to harass you or write you hate mail, though I expect you'll claim you got an awful lot in death threats and rape threats and everything else. So I doubt most men really care at all. Most men are too busy with their own lives, doing things, building things, maintaining things, creating things, working out mathematical equations, or, doing research on curing COVID-19 or whatever it happens to be, or keeping the sewers working, to care whether Alice wants a world without them or not. And but she's going to go on, I assume, for the next many decades, continuing to claim that her world is ruined by the existence of all these men. And I don't think there's any way to.
Depends on how many books she sells. If she sells a number of books, then she will invest her life more in men.
Yes, exactly. I expect she will. Yeah, there'll be a follow-up. Liberating yourself even further.
That's right.
Yeah. Well,
and then a third one. I'm still not having anything to do with men. You men.
Yeah. I'm gonna write another book about men, but I've purged my mind of them.
Oh God. And all the while, these men are out there doing gynocentric things for women, and they're beat up upon by people like good old Alice. And so it goes.
Yeah. Well, at least men know that no matter how much a woman like Alice declares that she doesn't think about them, she really can't stop thinking.
That sounds like a good song. Can't stop thinking about men.
This is the most obvious case of penis envy I have ever seen in my life.
I think it is. It's absolutely. It must fulfill every single criteria. Isn't there that song, "You're So Vain, You Probably Think This Song Is About You"?
Yeah. Carl Simon. I think she probably thought that.
Methinks thou doth protest too much.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty well.
That's it. Yeah. So men, go on knowing that you are great and that Alice Coffin can't stand the reality.
Yeah, there you go.
And if you need any counseling for your grief over not being loved by Alice, you can always get in touch with me. I don't expect my email box to fill up.
No.
Not from them.
Nope.
Are we finished?
Yep.
I'm finished. I'm finished with Alice.
Yeah, poor Alice.
I really mean it this time.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about her anymore.
That's right. We're going to talk about Regarding Men.
About Alice.
Come see us at Regarding Men. Where good things are happening. There's a group at least once a day. And Paul, Janice, and I are doing groups, and as is Mike Buchanan. And I think we've got a couple more people coming in, Paul. So
yes, we do. There will be more of that shortly.
Yes. Maybe next week we'll announce some new people coming in that you probably already know.
We'll be announcing at least one next week.
Yeah. So we'll see where we go. But come on and join us. And on that note, men
are
good.
Not bad.
Not bad.
All right, you all.
Okay,
You take care. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.